So the SMMA industry has been trained to believe that SMMA, right, social media marketing equals Facebook ads, right? And I'm very much a culprit of this as well. But if you go on YouTube or go on any kind of source and search SMMA, it's always in combination with Facebook ads. And so that's basically trained the industry to believe that the only agency that you can run is one that does Facebook ads for their clients. And that's just so not true. As I say, I'm very much a culprit of this as well. I talk a lot about SMMA, I talk a lot about Facebook ads as well, but it's been perceived in the wrong way. And so now, as I say, people starting out in the agency space truly believe that the only service they can provide their clients is one that involves Facebook ads of some sort, and that's really not correct. And so in this video, I want to go through the best services that you can offer in 2021/2022 for your agency. So I think it's first to start with the definition of an agency, because again, I think that's been very muddied over the past few years with the SMMA industry kind of booming and whatnot, and everybody talking about it on YouTube. I think the actual true definition of an agency has been forgotten about. The true definition of an agency is basically an agency is a service-based business, first things first, right? That includes any type of service, right? And ideally, that service is being offered to another business, and that service, if it's a good agency, that service should be the antidote, should be the solution to the other business's biggest problem. So if the industry that the agency is serving has a huge issue, then ideally that agency's service, right, what they're actually offering, what they're actually doing for the business should actually be the solution to that big issue. That's what makes a good agency. And that's what makes your agency scalable as well, right? Because everybody in that industry wants your service, you know, and then you can charge a high amount for it because it should be solving a big issue that is worth a lot to the business. So they'll pay a lot for it to be solved, right? That's what an agency is. It's not a Facebook ad agency. It's not a business that offers Facebook ads. Like, yes, that can fall into that idea of the service being Facebook ads, and the outcome of the Facebook ads solves the business's biggest problem, but that's such a small little subsection that, as I say, often gets forgotten about. And so if you're just starting out in the agency space, or maybe you've been in the agency space for quite a while, but you want to change niche or whatever, you want to change offering, what is the best service for you to offer in 2021/2022? Well, again, it's not the best to start with that question. If you're just starting out in the agency space, don't ask yourself the question of what should I offer to clients, right? Reason being is because, again, going back to the definition of an agency is one that offers a service to another type of business that solves their biggest problem. And so now obviously that implies the fact that each industry has different problems, meaning each niche, so a real estate agent has a very different problem to what an e-commerce business has. An e-commerce business has a very different problem to what, you know, a gym has, for example, right? And so each industry has a different problem, meaning they need a different service to fix their problem. So I always start with the question of, who do I want to serve? Right? Who do I want to work with? What's my niche? What's my industry? Start with that question, figure out who it is that you want to work with, right? And then from there, you can go deep into that industry, you can go deep into that niche and truly figure out and understand what that industry or niche's biggest issue actually is. Right? That's what you want to be doing. You want to figure out what their biggest issue is. What's their biggest problem? What plagues every single business in that niche? And from there, you now have their biggest problem. And so now what can we do with that biggest problem? Well, now we can think, okay, how can we fix this? Because if you can fix that big problem that every single person in that industry has, right, or the majority of people in that industry have, and it's truly their biggest problem, well, number one, you're gonna have a lot of clients who are gonna wanna work with you. And number two, they are going to want to pay you a high amount, because if it's their biggest problem, then they value the solution to that problem, and they'll be more than happy to pay you X amount per month, whatever the number is, if you're able to truly solve it for them. And if your service provides a direct monetary output, then from there you can basically charge based on what the output is that you're able to generate your client. So going back to the idea of the services, you want to figure out the industry that you want to work with, you want to figure out what their biggest issue is, and then from there you can come up with a list, you can come up with a plethora really of solutions to that problem. Out of that list of solutions that you researched, if you like, then from there you can pick, okay, what do I actually want to do? And maybe you can even pick a few, right? If you're just starting out, this is the other perfect thing about starting out. You're super agile. You're not locked into anything. So maybe there's 3 ways, right? Maybe you've listed 3 ways that you can fix this issue that you've identified in a certain type of niche. essentially, right? And if you're just starting out, you can just sign 3 clients in that industry, do 1 service to each client, right? Out of the 3 that you pick, you're like, oh, these are 3 ways for me to go about solving this issue. Client 1 do service 1, client 2 do service 2, etc. And then from there you can identify what's number 1, the most effective service from a result standpoint, and also number 2, what's the most efficient service for you to deliver. If you can find a happy medium between the most effective and efficient service, you then have the perfect service. So you may have clicked on this video wanting like the exact service for me to tell you, right? Or you need to do emails, or you need to do Facebook, or you need to do, appointment setting, or you need to do this, or you need to do that. But it's really just not like that, because the industry that you go after, it will be different to the industry that the next person goes after, and those 2 industries have wildly different problems, which means they need wildly different antidotes to their problem, right? If you get bit by a snake and then you get bit by a spider or something, right, it's completely different poison in each of those animals. If you give 2 different people who got bit by each a snake and the spider the same antidote, one of them it might work, the other one it's not going to work for them, right? Because they've got an entirely different problem. They've got an entirely different poison running through their body. So you can't give them the same antidote. It's the same thing here. It's the same thing when it comes to working with businesses, right? You need to tailor your service to the specific industry that you're going after. And the other thing I want to touch on in this video, because it massively ties into the service that you offer, is the fact that I want you to start thinking outside the box, right? You'll see that my content now moving forward is going to be tremendously different. You'll see that if you're inside of any of my programs, they are starting to be tremendously different. For example, I just launched a $97 offer, right, for first access members called the Platinum Agency Program, right? It's technically a $497 program, $500 program, but for first access members, you're able to get in for $97. And you'll see the approach that I take in the Platinum Agency Program is wildly different to anything else that's number 1 spoken about in the industry, and number 2, anything else that I've personally done. And it's because the industry itself is changing. The SMMA space right now is changing, right? There is more people joining this space than ever before. And that doesn't mean to say, I want to make this very clear, that doesn't mean to say that the agency space is saturated, right? Because it's not. The agency space has been around for hundreds of years, and it's going to continue to be around for hundreds of more years, right? It's not saturated. But what is saturated, the current way that everybody goes about building an agency, that's saturated, right? Running Facebook ads for real estate agents, that's saturated. Running Facebook ads for e-commerce businesses, that's saturated. And so the new wave of agencies, if you like, it's all about thinking outside the box. And for example, again, in the Platinum Agency Program, I really push this idea extremely hard, because the Platinum Agency Program is basically, as I say, it's a blueprint on you signing your first 1 to 3 clients for your agency, right? And so most of the time, those 1 to 3 clients, or your first 1 to 3 clients, sets the stage for, not only how quickly you can grow, but also the direction in which your agency is going to go moving forward. And so as I say, a really big idea that I push in that program as well, I want to touch on it here, is to not go after the typical industries, right? It's the worst thing that you can do. If you try and start your agency right now and you just try and serve real estate agents with Facebook ads, you're probably not going to grow that much, and you're definitely not going to grow in a quick time frame, right? Again, referring back to the Platinum Agency Program, I say sign your first 1 to 3 clients in the next 30 days. And you're able to do that very easily if you follow the program, but also if you go outside the box. For example, let me give you an example in terms of what I'm talking about here, because I think examples explain things a lot better than just talking about it in theory. A perfect example of this is your industry, your niche could be coaches, right? So think real estate agents, think gyms, think restaurants. Now think coaches as your niche, right? And what is a huge issue that most coaches have in their business? Well, it's scale, right? Because coaching is very direct from a monetary standpoint, right? It's like, how much did you make last month? How much did you make last month, right? And most of the time, their biggest issue is getting qualified people on the call, right? Getting qualified sales calls and having a high number of those qualified sales calls. That's usually their biggest problem. So your niche could be coaches, and the service in which you offer, right? Or the problem in which you're fixing could be, we'll help you get more qualified sales calls each and every month, which in turn enables you to sign more clients for your coaching program, right? And the service in which you offer to act as the antidote to their biggest problem could be appointment setting. Now, what your service would look like is you could maybe do the appointment setting initially for your clients, but then from there, you can then hire an appointment setter and bring them in-house, and then they act as your media buyer, right? So if you've been in the agency space for quite a while, you would have heard the term media buyer, contractor, whatever, and the media buyer basically is running the ads. Well, for this service, your media buyer would be an appointment setter, and then you would follow the exact same structure, just delivering a different offer. And instantly, all of a sudden, you're now in an extremely untapped industry, offering an extremely unique service, and that unique service is also acting as the antidote to an extremely painful problem to a specific type of person. That is the key moving forward in the agency space. That is why I'm now changing all of my programs to be centered around this idea instead of just being run Facebook ads for real estate agents or whatever, right? Because that's what's saturated. The agency industry is not saturated. It's the way in which everybody goes about running their agency. That's what's saturated. And so that definitely did tie into the service. I know I went off the topic a little bit, but I hope that explained my thought process around what services you should be offering in 2021/2022. I know I didn't say anything specific. I know I didn't say do emails, right? Or do Facebook, right? Because that approach just does not work anymore. It's as simple as that, okay? As always, guys, hope you found value in this video. I hope it gave you some extra insight into kind of where the industry is going and how you need to adapt your agency. If you're interested in joining the Platinum Agency Program, click the first link in the description. It's a $97 program for First Access members. It's a $97 program for First Access members, and then from there, it will go to $500. And that is basically a program that gives you an insight into the new wave of agency owners and how they are operating. And also, if you follow the program down to a T, then you'll be able to sign your first or your next 1 to 3 agency clients in the next 30 days or less. So as I say, if you're interested in joining that program, please go ahead and click the first link in the description. And with that being said, if you enjoyed this video, smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, all that good stuff. And with that being said, I will see you in the next video.